You ready for some Dresden?
Be more than human.
Welcome back to the channel. My name is Joseph Carroll. I write under the pen name J.R. Carroll. And today we're going back to Dresden. More specifically, Book 5, Death Masks. And I'm going to switch it up here a little bit from my previous reviews. And I will give you a little bit of the main story, and then we'll go a little bit into spoilers. I mean, we're in book 5 now, guys, so if you're along with me, you can bail out after once I tell you spoilers are coming. So the story starts off with Harry in Larry Fowler's studio, who we have heard a little bit about, but this is the first time we're actually seeing him. So Larry Fowler is kind of like the Jerry Springer of Dresden, and he's there meeting Mortimer Lindquist, or Morty, the ectomancer. And to be around all the studio stuff, Harry has to put out like a spell kind of to keep his power in check so he doesn't blow everything out. But really, the reason that Harry is there is to get information on Susan. He's trying to see if Morty can actually, locate her. And then after they introduce themselves, and Fowler makes them kind of tell, "Oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, are you really a wizard?" He brings out a priest who, is there and just like, "Oh, the church sends me off to find these things and see if anything's real." And then in steps Duke Ortega, who is, of course, from Grave Peril, a Duke of the Red Court of Vampires. Now, of course, he's put here on stage as a skeptic. And, Harry starts kind of losing control, and, everything starts going haywire. But when Harry kind of leans in to talk with Ortega for a moment, Ortega says, I'm not here on the stage to hurt you, but I am here in Chicago to kill you. And he gives Harry an ultimatum of, you can meet me under the code duello and we can duel it out, just me and you. And if you win, Chicago is neutral territory. If I win, I stop the war, because he wants to stop the war. Some of the Reds want to keep the war going. Now again, Harry doesn't really want to do that, and he kind of tries to talk his way out of it. But Ortega basically tells him, if you do not, I have hitmen that are going to kill all the people that you've ever helped. So of course, Harry's got the hot head, and he's like, all right, I'm going to take you on. Leave everybody out of this. This is me and you. And of course, this being a Dresden Files book, there can't just be one storyline brewing throughout. So the next storyline is a dead person flushes up that Murphy brings Harry in on, and he's all chopped up and weird looking, and it turns out that he's full of every plague that you've ever seen. And and of course the mortician, or the city medical examiner, Junior, that we meet. His name is Waldo Butters. And it turns out that Waldo Butters was the person who actually looked at the Reds in grave peril, and instead of just writing this off as, oh, it was just weird human bodies, he's like, these don't look like human skeletons. So he ended up going up to the nut house. They sent him to the nut house, but he got to keep his job. So he's kind of believes a little bit of the supernatural world, and kind of gives Harry heads up about certain things, and Harry kind of tells him, yeah, this is real stuff. And so we have that aspect, and then the priest, of course, the priest tells Harry, I'm actually here to see you because Father Foyhill sent me a message that said you are the guy to talk to about the occult-like stuff. Turns out this group called the Church Mice have stolen the Shroud of Turin, and so now Harry's got to track down the Shroud of Turin. He's got the Red Court Duke in the city ready to kill him, and and now he's got to find the Shroud of Turin. And so Harry's just got all this dumped on him. He's walking home, and out of nowhere he sees a giant bear-like creature, and it's barreling down on him. And there's two people that are in the way. This seemingly drunk large black man, and then an old Asian man with a cane, and he's trying to rush them out. Run, I'm gonna, and they, the old Asian man hands him his glasses, and he's like, please, can you hold these for me? And then pulls out one of the knights, and it turns out he's one of the Knights of the Cross, and starts battling this giant bear. Harry ends up soul gazing this bear, figures out that he is possessed, and and this bear's tearing up the other guy. The big black guy rips off his shirt. Turns out he's the Knight of the Cross, and they're battling this bear. The bear almost kills the old Asian man, and out of nowhere, here comes Michael, chops his head off, jumping down from a building. And you're like, 3 Knights of the Cross are in one place, and it turns out that was a demon, and he was possessed by a group called the Black and Denari, and they possess coins, of course, silver coins, 30, and there are 30 of them. It's the 30 pieces of silver that Judas received, and each one of them has a fallen angel inside of them. And this man picked the coin up, and you let the fallen angel inside you, and it gives you powers. And so the big black guy's name is Sonia, and the Asian man's name is Shiro. And it turns out that Shiro was the one that taught Michael everything he knows about sword fighting. So now, Michael tells Harry, you need to get out of this. These things are way worse than anything you've ever faced. You're about to go head to head with, some of the most powerful beings on the planet. You don't want to deal with these people. He's almost like, I will keep you, I will knock you out, lock you away if you don't get off this case. So he's got fallen angels, he's got red court vampire dukes wanting to duel him. He's got to find the Shroud of Turin. I mean, there are so many major things going on in this book. This book is so, it's really fast paced. It is nearly it's nearly just a perfect like Dresden book. Um, I mean, it's got some of the best characters. You meet some of the all-time best characters. I know I said that about Summer Night, but again, we're starting to ramp up these books, and there's 17 books, so it really starts to ramp up here, and you have a lot of characters that just follow, or big characters that kind of come back in and out. Um, but if you haven't read this book yet, if for some reason you made it to Summer Night and you made it through Summer Night and you were on the fence, I mean, I don't know how you could be after Summer Night because it's such a great book, but if you are, you gotta get through this book. So I am going to go into spoilers now and talk about some certain aspects of why Jim Butcher is one of the best writers in the world. So, spoilers. You've been warned. So we are meeting, you know, the, the Fallen here, and Harry, ends up, meeting Nicodemus Archleon, who to me is one of the greatest villains in fantasy history. It is just, and again, his plan is to capture the Shroud and spread a plague throughout Chicago that will spread, hopefully will spread throughout the world. And so, Harry's figuring out, he's got to try to deal with him. He's trying to find the Shroud, and so Harry has to find a second for the duel with Ortega, and Shiro ends up saying I'll be your second. And of course, when they go to meet Ortega and his second, who is his second? None other than Thomas Wraith. So and Thomas is drunk, high and drunk, being stupid as he always is, but he's nice to Harry. He always likes Harry, and it's always weird. And Harry's like, well, how in the hell did you become his second? And he's like, well, Ortega wanted my father to be his second, but my father sent me instead to kind of insult him. So, so that that's great. Harry ends up finding the Shroud, and it was at a gala for that, of course, who else but Johnny Marcone was throwing. And so they're trying to find this little art gala. They end up finding it, and thinking that they were gonna get away. And the woman who actually has it, his name is Valmont. Now they lose the Shroud, both of them. He finds her, he's trying to convince her to give him the Shroud, and then the Daenerys blow in there and and steal it. End up, eventually Harry ends up getting knocked out and captured, and wakes up in Undertown with Nicodemus, and Nicodemus has got him hanging upside down, water dripping down him, so he can't, the water's grounding out his magic, and basically tells Harry, you need to, I wanted you to stay out of the way, but since you're going to do that, he goes, I'll give you a coin, I'll give you Lashiel's coin. You go ahead and come to our side. We'll be good. And Harry basically tells him to go f himself, and then just before he ends up slitting Harry's throat, Shiro drops down, starts slicing people up left and right, and then Harry's held hostage by Nicodemus. Shiro basically says I will trade my life for Harry's life, and he gives him his godly word. So Harry makes a getaway. Shiro gets taken by Nicodemus, and then Harry ends up going to the duel with Susan as his second. And the crazy thing about Susan is that she has become, she's in this group called the Fellowship of St. Giles, and they get these tattoos that you can't really see unless they get angry, and it kind of uses some of that red cord magic and strength without taking them over the top. So she's become, quite formidable. Harry goes into this duel, and before the duel, this duel is set up by a little 7-year-old girl who is called the Archive. She has all of human knowledge stored within her in the 7-year-old girl, and that makes her ultra powerful. I mean, she's like, knows all the magic, knows everything, and she pulls out this thing, stone of Mordite, that just instantly vaporizes and kills anything it touches. And she sits it between Harry and Ortega, and they have to battle out wills and kind of force it towards one another. And it looks like Ortega's going to beat him. Then Harry starts winning. And just before Harry wins, Ortega's arm slips out from his skin, his human skin, and his real bat-like arm starts ripping out, and it has a gun attached to it. And then he gets hit by sniper fire, and then just all hell breaks loose. And the guardian of the Archive, even though she's super powerful herself, his name is Kincaid, and he just doesn't miss, just bang, 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 just shooting all these red cord vampires. And he's got these shotguns that shoot out flaming rounds. I mean, it's just crazy. They make it out of there, and so Sonia, Harry, and Michael all start looking for Shiro and where Nicodemus is going to try to unleash this plague. They make their way to the airport where they were, tipped off that would be the place. And Shiro has been tortured horribly. Just, he doesn't even look human anymore. But he's able to cough and open his eyes, and he, tells Harry that it's okay. It'll be all right. Don't blame yourself. You'll find out later. And so Harry has actually called in for Marcone's help. They find out that Nicodemus is on a train, and they fly in with a helicopter, and Miss Valmont and all of them, they start battling Nicodemus and his daughter Deidre, who has hair, when she transforms, her hair is like metal knives, and they start battling back and forth. And one of the features of Nicodemus is that he has a tie, and everyone thinks it's just a tie, but it is the noose that Judas hung himself with, in theory. And Harry comes up with a clever plan that says, well, he seems to be immortal. I mean, he's getting shot, nothing hurts him. But he's like, I bet that the noose would hurt him, and he's able to get his hands on it, and nearly chokes Nicodemus to death. And Nicodemus, gets away. They fall into the water, and at the end of the story, we figure out that Marcone was the one that actually was trying to buy the shroud from Valmont, because a girl who got hurt in the crossfire of one of his early robberies is in a vegetative state, and he was hoping that the shroud could cure her. And Harry finds that out, and Harry's like, man, now I can't hate this guy. He goes, yeah, I don't agree with anything, his organization or anything, but I can't, in my heart, I can't hate the guy. And this, and what I was going to say is, I have read fantasy stories where, thousands of pages, like a series that in just a few books gets you over 2,500 pages with hundreds of characters, and in 2,500 plus, around 2,500 pages or more, I haven't had a single character in that series that I cared as much about as I did Shiro, who was only in 400 or 500. Jim just knows how to write characters, and especially how to write side characters. That just pulled at my heartstrings. And this is like the 5th time I've read the book over the last 10 years or 12 years. But if you guys want to keep going along the ride with me, I actually wanted to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.